Is climate change a scam, a hoax to control the masses? Some people think so. And while the topic is complex, the truth is simple. Climate change is real, undeniable, and it's already reshaping our world. Welcome to Inspired Risk, a production company dedicated to raising awareness and empowering people to protect and serve as guardians of the natural world and its wildlife. For decades, a vocal minority has spread doubt and confusion about the science behind climate change. But despite the noise, the evidence is undeniable. Our planet is warming, and humans are the primary cause. According to a global consensus of climate scientists, over 97% agree that climate change is driven by human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. It's a scientific fact, not a political agenda. Multiple authoritative sources back this, including the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, whose 2021 report unequivocally states that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, oceans, and land. In fact, it found that human activities have already caused about 1.1 degrees Celsius of global warming, with even more significant impacts expected if emissions continue. Our planet is feeling the impact. Rising global temperatures are driving extreme weather patterns, longer droughts, heavier rainfall, more intense hurricanes, and more frequent wildfires. It's a pattern we can no longer ignore. The evidence is clear. Sea levels are rising, glaciers are melting. What was once thought to be a slow, distant threat is now in our backyard. Climate change isn't just about weather. It's about the natural world we depend on. Forests are being cleared for grazing land. Wildlife habitats are being destroyed, species are being pushed to the brink of extinction. It's true that agriculture, particularly crop farming, can cause some incidental harm to animals. Pesticides, habitat disruption, and farming machinery can lead to the deaths of small creatures. But let's compare that to the real killers. Animal agriculture. Every year, over 70 billion animals are bred, raised, and slaughtered for food. This industry, with its systematic and intentional killing of animals, is one of the largest contributors to climate change. And then there's industrial fishing. Trawlers that scrape the ocean floor, catching hundreds of thousands of fish at a time, along with thousands of unintended victims, like turtles, whales, dolphins, and sharks. This is bycatch, and it's wiping out marine life at an alarming rate. The good news is that we have the power to make change. By shifting to renewable energy, reducing our reliance on factory farming, and embracing sustainable practices, we can protect the planet and reduce our impact on the Earth's ecosystem. In recent years, governments around the world have made promises to fight climate change. They've signed agreements, set ambitious goals, and pledged to protect the environment. But the reality is, their actions often don't match the urgency of the situation. So why are governments failing us when it comes to addressing climate change, and what does that mean for our future? Even though governments have known about the climate crisis for more than 30 years, it was only in 2015 that the Paris Agreement was signed. This set the goal to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Yet countries are still far from meeting their carbon reduction targets. Many governments continue to support fossil fuel industries that are the root cause of the problem, subsidizing oil, coal, and natural gas to the tune of billions of dollars each year. Why? Political and corporate influence. In 2020 alone, fossil fuel subsidies were estimated at $420 billion. Money that could have been spent on renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure. But the failures don't stop at subsidies. Deforestation, the destruction of habitats, and the loss of biodiversity continue at alarming rates. Governments allow forests to be cleared for agriculture, cattle grazing, and the expansion of urban areas. In fact, livestock farming is one of the largest contributors to deforestation, particularly in areas like the Amazon rainforest. This agriculture-driven deforestation is wiping out vital ecosystems and contributing to a mass extinction event. And while some governments claim to be taking action to protect forests, the reality is that profit-driven industries often override environmental protection. Even when governments do take action, it's often insufficient. Take the United States, for example. Despite being one of the largest carbon emitters on the planet, it took a massive political shift for the US to rejoin the Paris Agreement. While Joe Biden's climate agenda was ambitious, it still fell short of meeting the required emissions cuts. But under the Trump administration, the US has pulled out of the Paris Agreement once again, undermining global efforts to curb climate change. In 2025, Trump's second term has already brought a rollback of environmental protections. His administration has declared a national energy emergency, allowing for the suspension of crucial environmental regulations to boost fossil fuel extraction. The Trump administration has also pushed to increase logging in national forests, proposing the use of the God Squad to streamline these projects and bypass environmental protections for endangered species. Additionally, Trump has reversed policies aimed at phasing out single-use plastic straws, rolling back efforts that were made to reduce plastic pollution. His administration continues to prioritize fossil fuel interests, and his actions show a clear disregard for long-term environmental sustainability. On the one hand, climate change demands urgent action, but on the other hand, it's often weaponized for political purposes. Rather than working toward real solutions, some leaders use climate change rhetoric to rally political support, push their agendas, or distract from their own shortcomings. It's become a political talking point, a slogan, more than a call to action in some cases. Governments make lofty promises to reduce emissions and greenify their economies, yet too often action falls short. For instance, many world leaders attend climate summits, sign historic documents, and deliver inspirational speeches about a green future, but in reality, their actions fail to match the scale of the crisis. At the same time, many continue to approve policies that favour fossil fuel industries, cut environmental regulations, or slow down the transition to clean energy. Some politicians lean on false solutions, like carbon offsets or market-based mechanisms, which sound great in theory, but often fail to make a meaningful impact. They present these solutions as panaceas, but they don't tackle the structural issues driving the climate crisis, like overconsumption, industrial agriculture, or reliance on fossil fuels. In the end, it's not about solving the problem, it's about appearing to act. Climate hypocrisy is a term often used to describe these contradictions. Take the example of leaders who sign international climate agreements only to approve massive fossil fuel projects or pursue new oil and gas exploration in their own countries. This disconnect between words and deeds is a powerful reminder that political interest can sometimes trump genuine climate action. And let's not forget that climate change has also become a polarizing issue in many countries. Instead of a unifying force for global action, it's become a divisive topic. In some places, climate policies are presented as radical or unrealistic, while in others, they're framed as necessary and urgent. This division is often exacerbated by political partisanship, making it harder to come together on solutions. Instead of collaborating across party lines, climate change is often used to fuel ideological battles. This only serves to delay real progress and undermine collective efforts to tackle the issue. Meanwhile, people on the ground are already feeling the impacts. Climate refugees, droughts, wildfires, and floods are affecting the most vulnerable. Yet despite their calls for bold action, the solutions being put forward often come in forms of political gamesmanship, rather than true, sustainable change. The problem lies deeper than just a lack of action. It's the system itself. Governments continue to prioritize short-term profits over long-term survival. They fail to address the root causes of the climate crisis, like overconsumption, industrial agriculture, and unsustainable energy practices. And the result? We're seeing more intense weather, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss at an ever-increasing rate. Take industrial farming, for example. Governments continue to subsidize this system, which is not only killing animals at an unprecedented rate, but also contributing to greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and the depletion of soil health. We're locked in a cycle where profit-driven systems take precedence over the health of the planet and the future of humanity, and we're running out of time. Fortunately, there is hope. Around the world, grassroots movements, activists, and innovators are leading the charge for change. The real solutions are being driven not by the political elites, but by those who understand that climate change is not a game, it's a life or death issue. Together, we can push the kind of climate action that will secure a sustainable, livable world for generations to come. We have the power to demand change. We can vote for climate-conscious leaders, support sustainable businesses, and raise our voices in protest. And for those that think climate change is a scam, it's a real, scientifically verified phenomenon with observable consequences that threaten ecosystems, economies, and human well-being. The urgency to address it is driven by the overwhelming body of scientific evidence, including reports from the IPCC, NASA, and many other climate monitoring agencies. Continuing on our current path will lead to worsening impacts, including more extreme weather, rising sea levels, and food insecurity. While it's natural for people to question and debate solutions to climate change, denying its existence or human role in causing it is inconsistent with the overwhelming body of scientific evidence. It's a reality we can no longer ignore, but together we can be part of the solution. So here's a question to ask yourself. Even if it wasn't man-made, we can literally see and feel the damage that is growing around the world, whether it's extreme weather events, deforestation, loss of biodiversity, or the degradation of ecosystems. And even if the debate over the causes is complex, the consequences are clear. The planet is suffering, and as stewards of it, we have a responsibility to act. We already have the knowledge and the tools to make a difference. Isn't that worth the effort? Isn't that worth us uniting in a common cause? If you're willing and able, here are just some actions you can take for conservation, climate change, and animal welfare.